Do your meow meow meow.
Meow meow meow. Rare.
We're
live. We're
but
live.
we are still waiting on Tracker. He disappeared on me this morning and last night, so I don't know where he ran off to.
We're trackerless, but hey, sometimes it happens. We just have to make do. Hey everybody! How do you do a
Did you make your Uncle Tracker song yet?
No. Well, I need him to do it because I'm not Uncle Tracker. How does that song go? I don't even remember anymore. Follow me. Yeah, that was
Follow me and everything is all right. Yeah.
Oh man. I bet a lot of people are stuck at home today in the U.S., especially on the East Coast. It's just been cold, freezing, snowing, and here we are. We're just gonna talk about stocks in the market and maybe some crypto. I think we got some economic data coming out at 8:30, so they're probably gonna use that to manipulate either to the upside or downside. Now that the pre-market is a little bit down, maybe they're gonna manipulate to the upside at 8:30. So whatever. It's just,
yeah, I think usually when I see things like this, everything at support before a major news event, things usually continue higher. Like it happened with the election, right? All of crypto was basically at support before the election. And what happened after that? We saw a big explosion. So I think something similar could happen.
Yeah, big explosion followed by what everybody is focusing on was the little crash. So yeah, we'll see.
Alrighty. Let's see. Okay, so I can just show you the pre-market right now for everything. We can see that this is the 1.618. I've been talking about this Fibonacci level for a long time now, ever since it broke out back in November 4th, and we can see that it's still support. So, I mean, everybody is calling doom and gloom still. Everybody's like, oh, I got to go short because it's going to break. But so far, there's no proof of that really wanting to happen. So until 585 really breaks, I can't really assume any lower. And with the QQQ, same situation here with 497, or even on linear scale, it's 504. It doesn't even want to go down there either, right? So basically still holding support nicely, right? And we can even put on the Ichimoku and it's still just wicking through, just like everything else is wicking through the conversion line right there. So this has also potential to close above today, and that is 516.82. And IWM, lots of panic always, but this 219.79 is holding, and also the baseline right there of 220.84 is also holding as support still for the past month, right? And this weekly candle still is not even lower than last week or the week of December 16th. So this is still a very bullish development of just a breakout and a back test going on for a higher low.
Agreed. As we usually do. I think if you also just look at
oh wait, Uncle Tracker arrived.
Oh, Uncle Tracker here.
You realize we were doing a thing. Hi, good morning.
Well, you got to check your messages last night. Come on, Tracker.
I'm sorry. I was in a communications blackout until.
Let's picture it this way. It's like you're walking into a bedroom, you're expecting to see something, and you see another cat in there. So this, it happens. Just go with the flow, man.
That's crazy.
Yeah, cat got snowed in today, so he had the morning off.
Oh wow.
Yeah.
Wow, snow in Georgia. That's fantastic. That's crazy.
I don't know where I am. Am I in Georgia? Am I in Pennsylvania?
Maybe you're in the country, Georgia.
Maybe I'm in the country, Georgia. Maybe I'm in Turkey. Who knows?
Anyway, that's crazy to get snowed in. We're expecting winter weather here too, but later in the day. Anyway, whew.
Well, we just did the indices. We're doing a little bit earlier, so we can just have more time to have some fun here. And what are your thoughts, Tracker?
My thoughts on everything is that, especially, I want to talk quantum for a second. If you could wait, I have to share my screen. But basically, everything just has run down to supports, to extreme supports, which is where I love to see things do a big 1-2. So if you look at Qubit here, Quantum Computing Incorporated, after running up, and then everyone said, "Oh wow, quantum's going to be the future, quantum's going to be everything," and then it like ran down here and like, "Oh no, big sell off in quantum." And I thought I called this the 1-2, and I said I really like quantum, and then everyone says, "Oh yeah, we really like quantum," and then it did this after December 31st, and now it's like, oh, because Jensen said quantum computing is like decades out. Don't even think about quantum. And now like, oh no, quantum sucks. Nobody wants quantum. But you know what? That was just a ruse. This is your larger degree 1, 2, and now everything just goes up from here. So I really like buying all the quantum plays from here. Quantum is it's still just getting started to get started. So that's my thought for 2025 right now. And I wish I'd raised more cash to have bought this dip yesterday on a bunch of the quantum plays. The SpaceX is stacking another rocket to do a test flight here pretty soon. So you can see in DXYZ, Destiny, they say it's pronounced Destiny, DXYZ. And it's also working on this 5th wave. And it's already, I think, completed this long second wave of the 5th wave. So I'm looking for that to reach $96, almost $97 next with this next rocket launch. Maybe we'll get a rocket launch and a catch, and this thing will just scream up again like the rockets. And then Tesla, I think, I love that we did that show, that Pentaverate show, and Cat pulled this trick out of his hat that I hadn't realized, but it completely made sense immediately as he was saying it. Just like Matt looks for this 786, when you have like a 100% retrace from 420 to 426 back to this previous low in Tesla of 372 373.04. Getting over the 786 of 415 will be critical to see Tesla break out again. And I think I'm looking for maybe today or Monday for price to just get that little hint over the 415.03, that it runs back to check liquidity. Maybe it'll do an extreme jump down here into this big sell order block on Monday, and then take off again. So that's what I'm looking for across the board. That's everything. I just did you a whole brain dump out of what's been my head this morning. There you go.
There was your morning dump.
That's my morning dump. You're welcome.
Yeah, I can see it. Yeah. No, I actually more or less agree with you too. I think the quantum stocks it's always tough, right? Because they're low liquidity, but they look like they are changing the longer term technicals to the more bullish side. So a lot of people is like saying like, hey, it's down 40-50% in a day, it's over. Well, they've just also gone up like several thousand% like over the last however long, So exactly. Actually having with these kind of stocks, if you also look at like log scale, which I generally tend to do, they're actually not that bad.
Just look right here on this weekly qubit chart. Between November and December, they've got these 5 weeks of big red bars where the institutions are just buying this thing right up, and then they stopped for a little bit, did another big buy. I guess other other institutions jumped in, and that's when it ran the price way up. And then they just disappeared for a week, 2 weeks, let retail drop it back down right to the top of their accumulation zone. And so now it's ready to bounce again when they turn on the faucet and start buying up the shares again.
Yeah. I mean, there's also a ticker called QTUM. I think that's like the quantum ETF kind of thing.
Oh, you look at that.
Yeah, so I think it has a pretty even weighted. There's a lot of semiconductors on there, so it's being diluted with things that are a little bit safer, like Teradyne, Marvell, TSM, things like that. But the top holdings like QBTS, RGTI, those are like the top holdings. So you can see like it's still looking pretty decent,
For sure.
Yeah.
I would say from here back to here. See, I even colored them like these magic lines. So here's the 76 in blue. So This thing might test all the way back down to as low as 71.94, maybe, or maybe it stays bullish and just texts to the weekly Ichimoku conversion line right here in blue, around 77, and then but once it can get back over 82.79, then it can start running again. I kind of want to
Yeah, right now the upper Bollinger Band on the monthly for this thing is like $78.33. So it's still way outside the upper Bollinger Band on the monthly, so it's still a little bit overextended. I can see it retracing back down to like 77, 78 or something like that. So yeah, it's still a bullish chart. I mean, the whole sector still look pretty decent,
For sure.
Yeah, but anyway, like now that you mentioned that, I figure I'll just weigh in a little bit. But am I gonna buy this? Probably not. I mean, I just don't. I don't like chasing in general, and there's a lot of these stocks that are like a little bit lower in liquidity. I think it's a great thing. You want to trade it. I can see it being like a good potential trade, but it's just a little bit too unpredictable for me in terms of the great volatility that it brings, and I just like to sleep well. So those are my thoughts.
Hey, look at this QTUM. It went, here's my 1-2, and it went to 764, 382. Then it just kind of blew through. Here's sort of the 1382 100 right here, this hammer right here. And then it went to the 2382. And now we're in the ABC retrace. So, to my
awesome, man. Yeah.
So then let's flip this. Sorry, you can keep talking while I'm doing this. Or
no, Matt's awfully quiet. I don't know, like he's like.
No, I'm just looking at your stuff. Yeah. Looking at your stuff.
And then ABC. So from here, 382, 236, 618. So it looks like it could possibly get another touch of the moving average, maybe like a dip into the moving average 75 here on the weekly chart. So yeah, maybe Quantum's going to need a little more time, unless I'm just wrong about this 1-2. See, I could go way back here and call that the wave start. Yeah, there's so many ways to look at it. That one fits perfectly though for this subwave. Maybe this is all of wave 3, 4. Yeah, let's do that. All right, I'm gonna clean it up, and then here's my wave start. Here's the wave 1 top right there, and the wave 2 bottom. And then so now this is going to go 764, 50%, on 150%. It might be the 123.6 right there, and then 223.6, or even man, that's tough. Let's see. If it held the 50%. Let's go to the 250. These are kind of funky and funny, but just make this a 250.
You're funky.
Oh, I know, funky and fresh. I think. Look. This one says that the bottom's already in. This one says, well, it shouldn't go to 100, but it could go just a little lower. I bet it does go to this conversion line here, which is currently at 77.24, and then takes off again. Right there.
Yeah.
77.64. Yeah, Quantum's not done. It's just starting to get started.
I think the level might be right, but I just think that the correction through time might be longer than most people. Like, I think after a big move like this, people need to like forget about it for 2 or 3 months before they would pop again.
And that totally makes sense, because look, the theory of alternation says this wave 1-2 is very short. So this wave 4 is going to be a lot longer. Maybe it comes all the way. Maybe the baseline comes up and hits it right on top of this Ichimoku cloud right there.
Yeah.
And that's more like 74.83.
Yeah. People need to forget about quantum first before it can go up, and they haven't forgotten. So.
But, it's still a great, let's see, what was it, QUBT? It's still a great place to buy this dip, because, when my triangles, after that, that's like the lowest it's going to go. It'll probably do this, that, or maybe it'll even kind of be flatter. like this, but you won't get a lower price than that probably, and it'll go up here, but then people will forget about it, and then it goes down here again. But it's not a bad place to accumulate, or at least buy some and then watch it come up to the top of this triangle before it falls over again.
And this probably would make a lot of Texans not happy, but like the way I think about it is, if you don't forget about the Alamo, I'm bearish on the Alamo. You need to forget the Alamo before I get bullish on it.
So then it's in like a 618, 23.6. So this is now 123, 76.4, and then 2236.
And I'm not talking about the car rental company because nobody remembers that.
Are we still in business?
Probably, yeah. I see Benny's comment out there too. He's like, "Do you guys ever do bearish charts too? Seems like everything is going higher." We try to focus on the bullish nature of the market, right? Because we don't want to buy bearish charts. That's all.
No,
Are there bearish charts? Oh yeah, there are bearish charts.
Like Tilray, that's a bearish chart. Yeah.
Like I don't want to talk about that. Like or like even like Nike is turning the corner, but it could still be a little bit of a dead money.
It's a boring stock. We don't care about the boring or the bearish charts.
Yeah, we're not here to trash or bearish stocks. Like that's not what we're about. We're just here to look for opportunities. So.
Yeah, look, see, here's Tilray. We don't talk about you don't see these charts because we just rule them out and say, we're not trading this. Look at that lifetime downtrend.
Even Tracker doesn't have like a 1-2 on that one.
We don't talk about Tilray. No.
I'll tell you one I get asked about all the time, and I'm like, no, don't buy that. I don't like NIO. Even though it's a high,
it has a chance though. It's not
high or low. It's not dead, but there are a lot other charts I like a lot better than this one. This one could just see this blue thing. I drew this for somebody. It's probably gonna go sideways for a lot longer before, if it ever picks up, it's gonna take a while before it can start to pick itself off again.
Yep.
Unless I don't know, the Chinese government comes in and just says, "Oh, you can only buy NIO or Tesla."
So I see. If you want me to show Neo, I'll show Neo.
Oh, you're actually bullish on Neo, aren't you?
No, I'm not bullish, but there are some things I'm seeing. I'm
are
just
there
like
green shoots on Neo? Show me your Neo.
Yeah, so that basically just unless the 20-month moving average, this is like the Bollinger Band, this is a monthly chart. Unless the Bollinger Band is being touched at the bottom, or unless the 20-month moving average is being flipped from resistance to support. And as long as it's negative sloping, I'm still a little bit worried about it. There are some signs though, right? Because it's no longer as negative sloping. It's starting to turn flat here a little bit. It's still going to be resistance. And there could very well be a pop from where it is right now all the way up to the 20-month moving average. And the people are going to ask us about Neo again. And if it can pop all the way from like $4 to $6, everybody's going to get super bullish. It's going to be right resistance again. And I think that's probably is going to happen because you got a big green candle over here. So far, you got like four, more or less like an inside, four inside candles to this candle over here. And it's been also on declining volume. So I can see a pop happening soon, especially if this turns out to be a higher low all the way to like 650 or something like that. Everybody's going to be super, super bullish on it. And then we're going to get asked about it. And then the answer is, I don't know, it's looking better, but it could still take some time, right? Because I would really like to see the 20-month moving average to kind of flatten out before I even do anything about it. The same exact thing is talking about BABA, right? Like a lot of people got really bullish on January 2023, but the 20-month moving average is still very negative sloping, right? Like it takes time. Look at how long it took Alibaba to flip the 20-month moving average from like negative sloping to positive sloping. It took like 2 years after it touched it, right? So I don't know, like Neo could very well have one of those God candles if it wants to, just kind of push all the way up and just change the trend. This happened with JD, right? This happened in JD. It was negative sloping. Next thing you know, September 2024, like never mind, and next thing you know, it just flip it from like negative sloping to positive sloping, not a support, right? These things don't happen very often.
Jobs data just came out and IWM is tanking.
Oh no. Okay, whatever. They just like to keep doing this kind of stuff. Yeah. But if you look at even IWM, yeah, it's just right at support. It's not anything. So if you put up the monthly Ichimoku, it's still kind of right around support, right? We've been looking at this monthly conversion line here. Currently is 218.75, and free market may be a little bit tanking. I don't even know what the numbers. I bet the job numbers are fine.
I do have to say that the VIX is shooting up right now. It's getting a Morobotsu candle right at this moment.
Well, I mean, it's just the initial knee-jerk reaction, you know, and Kat loves the knee-jerk reactions.
Look at how well the support's holding right now. Like even pre-market.
You know, and it's still not even lower than last week's candle, guys.
Yeah.
Like the pre-market. Just relax.
Yeah, you can't make this up. Like, look at how well it's holding right now. So anyway, yeah. IWM is king as far as I'm concerned in terms of the market sentiment. But I'm going to pass it back to you guys. Matt, take over, or Tracker take over.
Well, go
ahead.
Yeah, let's just look here. So pre-market is down 331. We can see that last week's low, guys, if we forget, was 217.85, and pre-market it's 218.37. So still not as bad as last week.
Yeah.
Well, it's just pre-market, right? It still has a chance to recover. I don't even know what the jobs data was. I don't even have.
It's all made up anyway. They print
it's all made up anyway.
It is.
Yeah. The payroll number is like it got shot up, I guess, whatever that means.
I see. Non-farm payrolls 256 versus 165. Yeah. Unemployment 4.1 versus 4.2. Oh, it went down. How scary.
Yeah, it's
average hourly earnings.
Because they manipulate from both ends. First off, you know, who's making these predictions on where they think it should be, what are the expectations set by? And then two, they always release numbers and then they quietly revise them a month later and don't report on the revised numbers.
So the estimate was 165 and the previous was 227, so the 256. I mean, is that really that bad?
Well, but
it doesn't seem.
But the Fed's going to screw
the Fed.
Up.
They're going to be like, oh, there's too many jobs, there's too many payrolls. That means we can't cut rates anymore. Is that what they're thinking?
I think so.
And yields are going to
keep going. The market wants more rate cuts, and they think if they don't get them, that the stocks won't be able to go up. They think, oh no, borrowing costs are still too high. But you know what? Maybe instead of borrowing costs, they just invest in Bitcoin and they raise more capital that way. You ever think about
that? Yeah, everybody's looking at 10-year right now, and they're all freaked out because the 10-year just keeps on going higher. It's still a lower high compared to like the all-time high. The 2-year has been making lower high here. Actually, the long duration is strong. The short duration is weak. Is actually a good sign that the economy is becoming more and more healthier. So I don't know. It's just the VIX is shooting up, but it's not really shooting up all that high. I don't know, man. I mean, this stuff just like whatever.
So now pre-market is going lower than the previous weekly candles, but perhaps, just perhaps, since it still is quite a bit of ways from the weekly cloud, maybe it just wants to go get some liquidity down here before trying to go higher. You know, that is a possibility as well. But either way, guys, this is a bullish market structure. This, like, no matter which way you look at it, it's a bullish market structure, and there's nothing bearish about this chart at all. Right, the weekly chart is still looking fine, even with the SPY. Now it is going below that 585, but it's done it before too. So we're going to look at the weekly candle close today just to see how things close. So the goal is still to try to close above the 585 for the SPY, 585.38. And let's look at Tesla pre-market. Oh, 388, 387. Oh no, this life is over. But no, it's not, right? We can see that the 886, 378, it hit last week. It's still not down there this week. So the possibility to get there is there, right? To double tap it, back test it, whatever. Even if we look in the daily chart, we can see that maybe price wants to cool off a bit until the 50-day moving average catches up to price as well. For Tesla, we can see that it's still pretty far away from the daily cloud even as well too. So this is not a bearish chart at all. either, right? Things just cool off for some time before going higher, and that's just a normal process of all markets. All markets do that. So I think the only people that are worried about it are the ones that were chasing the stocks at the highs, right? But if you were buying when everybody else, or when we were all buying down here in 200s, the 100s, I think everything is fine, right? It's all about not chasing, and that's what a lot of people are doing with the quantum stocks, like you were talking about, which is risky, right? If you want to play that game, that's fine, but it is a risky game to play.
And also those people who have like the short duration options, short term options, calls, puts, and they're gonna
the short duration.
Yeah,
that's more of a gamble too, because predicting short term trends is not as easy as just riding a market cycle.
Yeah, because you can be ultimately right, but you can be very wrong in the short term. Like that's just how they want to get you.
Yeah, and the DXY is 110. I see right here. So yeah, it actually broke above the 618. I thought for sure maybe that would get rejected, but it just kept going higher. But this is still, these are called fib retrace levels, right? And it's still just retracing the previous high. So this is usually for a lot of stocks, a lot of everything, this zone right here is a big rejection zone. So it doesn't really have too much room to go higher, in my opinion.
Yeah, you never really care about it DXY anyway, though.
It's so close to 76 now. It wants to test it before it can push it down.
Yeah, it might want to test it before pushing it down, but I mean things are fine, right? Even Tesla's back to 391. The only thing that's taken kind of a bigger hit is Bitcoin, but Bitcoin there's really no change from yesterday. Ultimately, you can see that it did get down to the 91, almost the 91,158, but still it only got to the 91,215. But again, this depends on which exchange you look at, because some exchanges, these fib levels change. But for the Bitstamp, it's the 1.414 is 91,158. But I think on some exchanges, it is actually like 91,200, 91,300 or something. So it technically already did wick down to that 91 level, right? So it's retesting support over and over and over and over again, and I don't see a reason to panic until something changes at all, right? It's just people get too excited when it's up here and they get too bearish when it's down here. This is like human psychology, and if you just do the opposite of how you feel most of the time, you'll do well.
That is true. If you get really happy on a green day about your position, that's when it's time to
people. A lot of people, they place their orders based on how they feel, right? Oh, the market's green, it feels great, I'm going to buy more, right? But that's usually the wrong thing to do. And if you feel terrible down here at support, that's usually the time to want to buy, right? So we'll see what ends up happening. But so far, I'm not going to assume lower until this number actually breaks. If there's ever like a weekly candle close below it, then I'm like, okay, maybe it just wants to retest lower levels. But until then, it's fine. Right. And even if it does retest lower levels, it's still fine, because this is a super bullish chart for the future. And there's nothing that's going to change my mind about that until like if there's like a huge 50% correction, then maybe I would change my mind. But until then, this is just normal. Right.
I mean, also take into consideration that they pumped Bitcoin all the way to 95,000 pre-market, so they can dump it back to 93,000.
Yeah, they did that exactly. And same with Tesla, they pumped it up to 400 yesterday just so they can dump it right back down to support too. And for IWM and all that stuff too. And nothing has really ultimately changed at all. XRP as well, still holding support. Yeah. Just on SPY is almost back to 585 again. So really watching that level. I think regardless of what you're seeing, things are really still in a support zone. They really are.
Yep. That VIX candle that shot up has fallen back down, and we did not make a new higher high than last week. So that's still looking good too.
Yeah.
On the weekly.
How's XRP holding up? Well, I mean,
back to,
it was $2 last week, right? So
it's got relative strength. Like on crypto, there are a few that has relative strength. XRP is one of them. XLM also is one of them. And I think
H
like
bars too.
Sui, whatever SUI, also was like one of those that had relative strength. Yeah, I think at these points it's more like looking at what has relative strength, and so whenever correction is over, what's going to probably break out next.
Well,
It's
yeah,
not Solana, that's for sure.
no, it's not Solana right now.
Yeah,
But like, look at this Ichimoku cloud on the daily. It's basically the only crypto besides I think Sui that hasn't touched the daily cloud yet since it really broke out. It's pretty incredible how strong this coin is right now. So
Yeah.
for
When I get-
anybody like worried
when I
about
get-
it, like
Yeah.
it was just in the beginning of the year, it was down below around $2, and now it's Bitcoin's down to 93 and it's still holding 225. It's still holding basically this 886 zone. Like this is super, super, super bullish for XRP. And I think it's just a matter of days, if not weeks, that it really is going to start to just go higher. I don't really see much of a risk. I mean, maybe it's waiting to touch the cloud somewhere around here, right? But I think it's just a matter of days, if not weeks, until it tries to break the previous highs. So we'll see.
Yeah, I've got just to let you guys know, if it does break higher, my XRP chart, my prediction is it tops out at 469 for this wave 3 up, tests back down to 343 before it then goes on to 879. So look for that. It's going to hit that halfway point, sort of around just under $4.70 maybe. And then that's where it'll have to build the next base before it moves higher to that next bigger target level that Matt and I are looking for.
Yeah. I wanna hear Kat's thoughts on Palantir.
sure. Yeah, I can talk a little bit about it. Yeah, this is a monthly chart of Palantir. I've always had this thought that because it was just way outside the upper Bollinger Band here, that either it was going to correct through time or correct through price. I wasn't sure what it was going to do, but it's just a little bit overextended. Like even for like Bitcoin, or whenever you see something that's parabolic and it's way outside the upper Bollinger Band here on the monthly, like you end up having to touch it at some point, right? Like you just can't keep on going parabolically. Right now, the upper Bollinger Band is located at $66.77, and pre-market right now is $66.12. So we did end up touching it on Wednesday, and I thought that that's what they have really just wanted to do all this time. And also just looking at daily Bollinger Band too, it did have a doji candle. It did show that there was demand. It was touching at the low Bollinger Band here too. So I thought that there was a potential chance where this could have been a reverse candle, but obviously pre-market right now is not very cooperative right now. So the Bollinger Band could very well expand, and that could very well be where price is located. So we'll see. Maybe we end up having, and this is all purely speculation because I don't really know what the daily is going to do, and it can keep on doing a lot more, evil, sinister things. I don't know, but it could very well end up being like a tri-star or something like that. Like 1, 2, 3, and the next thing just kind of reverse. I don't know exactly, and I think it's okay to not know, because I'm not really here to try to tell you exactly what's going to happen. I'm just here basically trying to look at trend. And it's still bullish. Like it basically just broke out about this level here around 66, and then it got rejected up here around 84, 85, and it just come back down to backtest this level breakout, So if you overall just look at this chart, you zoom out, this thing has these kind of things that happen over and over again. It was just happening a lot more often, like in mid to late 2023, all the way to early 2024 before it broke out. This hasn't happened again for a very long time. And now it's happening again. If you get scared, like for a stock like Palantir, you can go up and down 20% a week, and there's nothing wrong with it in terms of the trend, right? Like look at the higher time frame, look at the Bollinger Band. Like how can you be bearish on this stock long term, right? Am I adding here? Probably not. I mean, I already added down here. I'm going to keep riding the train up, right? The only thing too is if you're also looking at these kinds of volatility, if you're wondering whether or not something like this has happened before, even for a parabolic bull trend like Bitcoin, yeah, you can have candles that are way outside the upper Bollinger Band, on the way up, right? And then next thing you know, you get punished sideways. Like, can you imagine how scary this doji candle was, right? It went all the way up to like 1200, it came all the way down to like 750. and then it just kept on going to like 5 digits. So at some point, if you're having something like this where it's just way outside the upper Bollinger Band, you're gonna end up having like some big wick or some big correction and trying to touch it back to pull you back to gravity to make sure that you are not going insane before things go higher. But the low Bollinger Band continues to expand to the downside, so I think it's just cooling off. And a lot of people have a hard time understanding that cooling off can mean that price can go from like 85 to 60 to $66. It's entirely possible. These are very volatile stocks. It just went from like $6 and all the way up to like 85. This is just a little tiny ding here. Doesn't mean that this is the top. I'm not seeing any indication to say that that's the case. I think anybody's calling it top, they're just guessing. So anyway, back to you, Matt.
Well, I think if you pull up the daily Ichimoku cloud, you can see it's just gravitating towards the cloud too.
Yeah, I suppose it can touch, or you can just kind of go sideways here a little bit for a few days and touch, or you can go a little bit lower, I suppose. Yeah, but I just like on the daily Ichimoku it's getting a little bit closer to Tsuki-ichi, but it doesn't always have to touch, right? Like here it didn't touch, here it didn't touch, here it went down below, but it doesn't always have to touch the cloud on the way to correction, right? Like here it touched it, here it didn't, here it didn't, here it looks like it did break down underneath the conversion baseline, so it could, but it just doesn't have to. It's like the daily Ichimoku cloud. I find that to be useful, but not always. Like it's not always greatly predictive. So
no, that is very true.
Yeah. But anyway, yeah. Back to you guys.
All right. So I see a request for NVIDIA there, and people are worried about NVIDIA. So let's pull up a chart. Using my chart here, all that happened this week, or even this week still, yeah, yesterday was a holiday, it just went up to the 152.38 and got rejected again. So it's just still in a range, really. If you look basically at this chart, nothing has changed. Let's look at the weekly chart, sorry, not the monthly. Nothing has changed, right? It still is kind of like in the same range as last week. It's nowhere, it's not even down to last week's low, right? It's just still in the same range. You can look at the daily cloud as well. It's just going maybe back down towards the bottom of the daily cloud. So that's a possibility, maybe 134. But the trend is fine still, right? It's just got rejected again at the previous all-time high, which is normal. And now it's just consolidating at the same range it's been in for the past weeks, right? It's been basically in this range for a long, long time, and nothing has changed. So am I worried about it? No, not at all. It's just a normal procedure, and eventually I think it'll get up, build up enough energy, and then go higher.
And if you want to know how much higher, I can show you my NVIDIA chart, which has not changed for weeks and weeks and weeks. It's been the same chart. I'm still looking for a target of 182.63 next. Once we get out of, you can see that this wave 2 was pretty short, so this wave 4 is taking longer. But once we get out of it, 182.63 is my next target above, with a test back to probably 162.19. Yeah, I don't think it's going to go lower. In fact, this could extend to 195.27, but I'm just looking for 182 right now. Test back to 162, and then on up to $270 for this cycle top, 5 waves up, then an ABC down. Just out of curiosity. Right from here to here. No, it's the other way around. From here to here would probably take us to 158. Maybe it stops at the 50% level at 179.85 though, if it likes to stay really bullish. Something like that. Maybe like this. There. So that's what I'm looking for. 269 sometime, I don't know, end of the spring, maybe in the summer. Because this could just keep pushing out. But so far, it's lining up pretty good for, it looks pretty good. So yeah, maybe April 24th. That's my NVIDIA chart. Anyone who hasn't watched that Jensen do his keynote speech at the CES the other day, watch that thing. It's incredible, all the stuff he talks about. There have been many. I think I reposted a little clip show of like, here's the highlights. Those highlights are pretty fun.
Yeah, I think Nvidia is going to go higher. I mean, I don't have anything else to add
You want
to
to
it.
chart that, or are you good?
I mean, I don't have much else to add. I mean, I can show the same Bollinger Band thing again, but basically these things go through cycles, right? Like semiconductors go through cycles, and you're going to have a period of time where there's going to be great chip demand. The numbers going to look great. The next thing you know, the economy starts to cool down a little bit, and they're going to order less chips, and then you have like a huge backup of chip inventory, and they're going to keep talking about chip inventory being too high, like they talked about chip inventory being too high in like October of 2022. They're talking about it all the way through like, June of 2023, where there's too much chip inventory. And next thing you know, that the numbers are not really showing that on the earnings, and next thing they just kind of tick off from there. These things go through economic cycles, right? And as they do, you can see that perfectly on the Bollinger Band. Bullish on the way up, rides up a Bollinger Band on the way up, and just expands the Bollinger Band on the upside to the downside. And then when it starts to cool down, you start to have less, impulsive price action. You start to have a little bit more of a contraction, right? Expansion, contraction, expansion, contraction, expansion, contraction. Just like the bedroom every night. Like there's nothing. Sorry, guys. Sorry. but there's nothing like unusual about the maybe not every night, but just like there's nothing unusual about what is happening. Whenever the Bollinger Band starts to get a little bit really closer back to price action is when you really need to start to get worried. I think it's still a little bit far away. I would say if you're looking at the Bollinger Band contraction, I think maybe we're like here, I think we might be like here, So I think that we still probably have that another lick up, like over here went sideways for like 4 months, and you have another lick up that went up for another year and a half. Here you have sideways for about like 7 months, and you have another lick up, for like another 8, 9 months or so, just big giant push up, right? Here you have the same thing where you basically have sideways. We're going kind of sideways here for about 8 months, but the Bollinger Band is still not yet, getting that close for me to get worried about it quite just yet. It probably would end up having a little bit more like a move up either to the 200s or 300s, and then that probably would be like the cycle top. I still see another leg up here, so whatever happens in the short term, like doesn't really matter to me. If you're worried about these wicks up here, I mean, maybe, but you also have like these wick down here too. So I don't know. I think there's just range bound right now. I'm not really that concerned about it. Even if you like look a little bit closer down to the weekly chart, there's really nothing that's scary because it's just holding the bull support band, right? Every single time when it gets closer to bull support band, people get a little bit scared here, and then we just touch it again in December, right? Right now we're priced actually a lot higher compared to December. And a lot of people are just worried. I don't know. I mean, I think it looks like it wants to just dip here a little bit and kind of go higher. You see how this structure over here look very, very similar to the structure over here. So I think it's going to be okay.
Yeah, I think we all agree on that.
Yeah.
Let's see. I see a request for a HIMS here. So what's it doing pre-market? Well, they had a downgrade by Citigroup. Oh no! And we can see that it's just going back to the baseline right now, and that's at 24.25. It's at 24.32 right now. So this is good. But not only that, it's also like kind of just building a base on top of the previous all-time high zone, right? So it's kind of like what Tesla is doing. Really, it's a breakout back testing of the zone of previous all-time high. Right. And it doesn't have to be an exact number. It's just the area. Right. And this is good. And it's still pretty extended from the weekly cloud. So it could just trade sideways for some time, or maybe even a little bit lower to collect even more liquidity underneath. But yeah, there's nothing wrong with this chart at all. Still very healthy, still very bullish for HIMS.
Yep.
You're so quick on
but there's not much to say with him. It's like it's bullish. Like if anything that's building a base on top of previous all-time high is not a bearish chart, and that's basically all you need to say.
Well, you can say that pretty much about every single chart.
Well, can you say that about AMD? I don't think you can.
I don't think you can, except you kind of can.
Well,
I
let's
guess.
go to AMD. Well, since somebody brought it up too, we'll go to let's just go focus on the monthly chart here, because I think the monthly chart paints a nice, beautiful picture of what's really going on here. So I had this Fibonacci pulled up from the 2000 high, right? And it's the 1.272 fib, so the 122.26. And since these are monthly candles, I think what we're going to focus on is maybe in January above this number here, and just maybe try to continue building a base on top of this previous resistance zone here. But it's not an all-time high, but it is a previous resistance zone, and flipping it to support. So it is a little bit below that now, but even if you do another set of fibs, like right here from the high to the low, and you get all confusing here because there's too many fib lines, then that helps out a lot.
Happens all the time.
Yeah, and then you can see that this number here, the 702, is 118.38, and price pre-market is 118.27. So it's right in the cusp of support right there as well. And can it go a little bit lower? Sure, why not? But this monthly chart is just beautiful in my opinion. It's just telling a story that it's higher highs, higher lows, higher highs, and it's just trying to find a higher low right here from here, right? It's just trying to find a higher low. So just be patient with NVIDIA or AMD. And I think after it got rejected here, it just needed time to cool off, and eventually it will get more and more bullish. So I think 2025 will be a good year, but it's just in the bottoming process for its higher low right now.
Yeah, it's still back testing the breakout zone from June 2023. That's what it is. I mean, it can always break down underneath below that a little bit, but it's just basically doing its back test. And it's also on the entire year of 2024 is been on declining volume while the stock went down. So the lower it goes, I think the higher the risk reward ratio is to skew to the reward side. The exact level may not matter to me as much. I think this is like sacrilegious amount like trackers right here, but the exact level to me may not matter that much. The trend matters more, the volume matters more. It just looks like the selling pressure is just declining about a month, and it's been going on for like 11 or 12 months now. So
yeah, and also there is this 200-week moving average right below it, 114.71, just in case it needs to get there. So don't count that out, but this is all the same zone. It like 120, 125, 118, 114. It doesn't matter. It's all the same zone, and it's just trying to find a higher low.
Yeah. If you want to look at AMD up close, I can show you my little 12-hour chart here.
Well, wait, hold on. All I say is back test, call it a damn correction. No. I mean, if you want to trade short term, yeah, call it a correction. If you want to trade the long-term trend, it's a back test. So it's just your point of view. And most people that trade short term, they don't make that much money. But if you ride the trend for a long time, you make the most money. So it's all about perspective. So you can call it a correction, but if it's a correction, that means you bought way, way higher. And this is just a normal procedure of going higher. So
actually, keep your chart up, Matt. Let's just looking from your chart there. So if you bought when everyone was terrified back in September of 2023, and you bought around 62, 63, you rode it all the way up to like the 200s, and now it's back testing again. And oh no, 120s! It's the world's ending. If you buy it now in the 120s, you're gonna make money when you can sell it higher, when it's up in the 150s and then the 185s. So this is a good place to dip back in, I'd say.
Yeah, but you can always go back down to the 110s though, like it's doing. So it's pretty scary.
Okay.
No, I mean, it's scary for some people, but it's all about perspective. Like if this is a correction, fine, call it a correction. You can call it that, but to me, it's just back testing a previous resistance zone, flipping to support. That's all it's doing. So you guys can call it what you will, but this is perfectly normal either way for the continuation higher. And this is what people need to understand. This is not a bearish scenario. This is very bullish.
All right, let me show my little tiny AMD chart here, just up real close again. And we're just using the cat on the map fib magic. So I pulled this set of fibs from the low right here at 115.94 to this high up here of 131.78. And you can see what happens is After, on my 12-hour chart, it rejected my moving average 75, my magic MA 75. Rejected it, fell down, tested back to the 786, this one that I colored in blue because it's so important and powerful. And then just ran all the way back down to see if it can make a lower low. But what so far it's rejected this 11.4% fib, and that's just the opposite of the 886. They're like reflexive, so it had this much energy. It still has high energy, and what's going to happen is the energy will attenuate for a while, and when it loses enough energy, then it'll gain some bullish momentum again. And so here, what does it look like? It looks like attenuates, and then once it can get back over the 786, test back to it, then it can make new higher highs and head for Matt's magic 141 up here, and then just keep going higher and higher. So just watch for the AMD energy to start to attenuate. If it makes a new lower low, that's a different story. But as long as it stays above 117.75 now, I think there's a good chance it'll, get rejected by the 786 again, and then hang out underneath. That's all I wanted to show you on that. Usage of these Fibonacci retracements and Matt's lovely level that he's been teaching us for these over these many weeks and months, and years for him. And I'm done.
That's what she said.
What do you have any comments about this head and shoulders patterns on a lot of tickers, Kat?
What time frame are you looking at?
I'm pretty sure they're all looking at daily or 4 hour because they're not looking at weekly or monthly.
Yeah. I mean, I would say that the stock market goes up on daily head and shoulder pattern on the way up for like decades. That's all I have to say about that.
Yeah, it does.
My comment on head and shoulders patterns is like, there's that preponderance for, if you're looking for a pattern, you see it everywhere. So, people are programmed to see faces. They always look for two eyes, a nose, and a mouth, and you can see it. And just like, you throw a handful of rocks on the ground, and you're going to see it. If you're looking for head and shoulders, you will find it freaking everywhere because prices do oscillate. They move up and down and up and down and up and down, and you can find a head and shoulders pattern anywhere you want to see it. You just have to be careful. Only learn to recognize when it's a real head and shoulders pattern, like when you can't avoid it. Like I could see a head and shoulders in this, but there's it didn't really do the thing on a 1 hour on a higher time frame.
Yeah. The worst is when people draw a head and shoulder pattern on diagonal on something that's on the way up. That's the worst. Like if you're gonna draw it, at least draw it on horizontal, because if you draw it on vertical, that's like just saying like these are bumps on the way up. Like that's absolutely horrible. Whoever draws something like that, I just like I don't believe you anymore. but the market goes up on these like head and shoulder looking thing. Like it just does. I don't know how else to say it. Like all of this thing on the way up with correction, they're all going to look like head and shoulder at some point. They're all going to look like double top at some point before they break out. So I'm just kind of looking through, like you have all these like potential head and shoulder pattern that worked out, all these that hasn't. I mean, like, I don't know. I also see a lot of head and shoulder patterns that did not work out, right? I mean, look at NVIDIA, even on a higher time frame. I remember this head and shoulder pattern that everybody was talking about, and I was like, I think it's going to be a head and shoulder continuation pattern on NVIDIA. Like this thing right here, I would call it like head and shoulder and arm and wrist and hand on the way up again. Like that's what I called it, right?
I remember that. I remember
like Palantir, like a lot of people are looking at this like head and shoulder over here as a head and shoulder continuation pattern. I called it. The reason why I call it is because if you look at the blue support bands on the way up, right, you have a moving average that is very, very strong. It looks like it wants to push price up higher, right? Same thing with NVIDIA. You had not NVIDIA / NVIDIA. Same for NVIDIA. You were having the rising 20-week, blue support band. It looks like it just wants to push price up higher. A lot of people probably got scared after it dropped back down. That's what they do to you, right? Another coin that I remember people talking about head and shoulder was Jasmy. Let me see. Yeah, a lot of people talking about Jasmy here too. Yeah, it had a head and shoulder pattern here, and I was calling it a head and shoulder continuation pattern because it was just basically backtesting the cloud. and it's like a head and shoulder continuation pattern. So yeah, whatever, man.
Listen, all right, so stay right where you are. So head and shoulders, they're very subjective. It's easy to see them anywhere. What's not subjective is if you measure things using the fib retracement tool. So why don't you, right there on that Jasmine, pull a fib retracement from the head of that head and shoulders thing back to the bottom, that an identifiable recent bottom. And
it's busy, man. My stuff is too busy. But yeah, anyway, yeah.
Look for that.
No, it looks weird. Okay, I got too many things here. Tracker, take over, man.
Okay.
Yeah.
Let me do the one that. Let's do high time frame NVIDIA. Just this. Let's do it over here because this is going to have nothing. Yeah, there we go. Oh, I did use this before. Let's get rid of that. Okay, so for example, just pull your retracement from. Oh, let's do this one from here back to here, and pull it out. Let's just pretend. Let's pretend we're back here in time and we don't know what's going on. And look, it retraced almost to the 786. And then let's flip it around. View order. No, wait. What am I doing? I'm going to reverse it. And then here again, on the way back up, it got over that 786, then tested back as low as it could. Once it got back over the 786 and tested back to it, it ran. I mean, we're still actually, it even went back to the 786 again right here and tried to go lower, couldn't. And so look, and here's Matt's 127.2. It's trying to get back to, so it looks like it's range bound between the 786 here and, this 153 level. Once you get over that 153, maybe you can go to 1618, 159, and then continue on higher. But that's it. But look how from the 0 and calling that 100, how really interesting the 786 got involved. And you can see the 23.6 is just, technically it's a 23.4. Is that right? No, it would be 12.4. Anyway, if you just invert them, right? If you invert 786 and 236, that's why I just kept doing this. Let's do reverse. And I can control Z it back and forth. Control Z, control Y. There's a 786 as support here, and then control Z, and then here's a 786 as resistance here when you flip it. So don't look for head and shoulders, look for retracement fibs. That's my suggestion.
Fair enough. And with that, I got to jump on my private live stream, guys. So I would love to continue, but I cannot.
Oh,
you tired?
Well, no, I got to jump on. I got to do my private live stream with my Patreon for tier 4.
Fair. Well, thanks for having me, man.
I'm sure you're going to jump on a live stream pretty soon today too, though, Kat.
I don't know about that. We'll see.
Is he? I want in if you do.
Okay. Well, yeah.
You guys can just continue on yours, Tracker.
Okay.
Competing live streams. No, so go for it.
All right, guys. Well, with that said, I'll see you later. See you Monday.
Yeah.
All right.
Sounds great.
Kat, I am going to look for an invite for me. I'm going to make a show and invite you in.
Okay.
Did you already have plans? I didn't want to ruin your plans, though.
Let me check my work stuff, and I'll get back to you.
Okay. We'll text in our cat chat.
Yep.
All
Sounds
right.
good.
Good luck, everybody.